Okay, so welcome to Let the Voice Out. I'm April, voice coach, and I am I do speaker training. I'm also a singer. I do voice coaching for singers, speakers. I do all of that. I'm a creative, and I'm told you guys are the creative bunch, which is awesome. That's my specialty. So it's nice to meet you. I sent you this little outline here to give you some basics of what it's like to get started and to really be unique and to really put yourself out into the world in a unique way. And I think with artists, the exciting thing that we have is that we're always creating and that we're always, making new things for the world. And we're like the innovators. We're the ones that, show the world something new that they haven't seen before. And everyone's got their special take on it. Everyone's got their special niche in the world of creativity and all the things that you guys do and the things that you guys make. It's got a place and it's important and it inspires. And that's the thing that I think needs to come across in an interview or when you are asked to talk on a podcast or if you want to go live on your Facebook or on your Instagram or any of your social media. I think that it's really important to be your unique you. And even though there may be similar things out there to what you do, your take on what you do is always the unique qualities the world needs to see. So I put together this little outline for you. And you can see for artist, creative, and how to get your particular message and your story out there. I put here, you will learn how to be comfortable talking about yourself and what you do in a casual and comfortable way. And there's a big difference between what people might consider being too much about yourself and just telling your story. And let me explain what I mean by that. Some people think, oh, I just talk about myself too much, right? It's just all about you, isn't it? And we can kind of feel like that, but the thing is, we are our brand of creatives. We are our own, I guess people refer to it as you are your own zip code kind of thing. And it's good to be about your brand. I personally have a couple brands. I have Let the Voice Out. I have April Diamond the Singer. I have a few others. And I struggled with that quite a bit, because I feel like I'm a relatable kind of person. And, I like to relate and connect with people on a level that's like a personable level, in a big way, and in a one-on-one type of connection as well. So there's a way to talk about yourself that's not coming across in the way that, oh, they're just talking about themselves. But there's a way to do it to really build your brand and build your own confidence about your brand, whatever your brand may be. Or if it's not particularly a brand, or it's a job that you're going after, or something you want to talk about, something new that you've created, all of that is part of it. So that's how I want you guys to think. And when I train my singers and my speakers, I always tell them in the beginning to set your mind, because along with the creative brain and along with the process, I think just anyone, when we're making something, creating something, going out for a job interview, trying to describe what we've done and that kind of thing, we tend to connect to sometimes negative things, in the sense of we are kind of perfectionists sometimes, and we just want everything to be perfect, and we want things to always be lined up. And sometimes it's just a matter of just saying, this is what it is, and this is what I'm great at. And as you do interviews and as you do different speaking engagements and such, you start to learn how to say it, and you get better and better at it. So as you practice these things I give you, I don't want you to be too perfectionistic about it. I want you to be energized, and I want you to say, yeah, that was great. And I remember this, that, I said this, I said that. I'll probably do this next time. I'll probably change that next time. You're always going to be making adjustments. And I have this later on in the outline here. But I think that that's really important, to make adjustments and to be real, but also, use different words and get creative and find different ways to describe your unique you. Okay. So the art of public speaking / business conversations, because I think they're kind of intermingled in a lot of ways, for artists and creatives, starts with knowing how to tell your story. So how do you tell your story? well, one day I was born on this day. You could go that far back if you want, but when you're on a job interview, you probably don't have a lot of time to say all of that, but you want to be concise, right? And you want to find the specific points about your process of becoming who you are and what you've done. And you want to find out, okay, what are the highlights? What are the main points I want to get here? Because everything is pretty multifaceted, right, to start. And then as time goes on and you learn more how to be more concise and to give more information in a shorter amount of time, that's always a great thing. So in my outline here, breaking down your story and doing sort of what I described later actually is like a brain dump of everything and all the things that you do and how you do it and what was your inspiration and all those things is what is in my outline here. Okay, and I'm probably jumping ahead a little bit, but that's okay. So how to tell your story. First, tell the whole thing, okay? But here's an example. When you go on a job interview or advertising your art, your fashion, whatever it is that you do, the world wants to know what you are about, what your specialties are, and what your unique qualities are. So I want you guys to get excited about what you do. And honestly, I don't know what everybody does. What do you guys do? Can anybody, I would be interested in hearing it if somebody wants to talk about what they do. Anybody want to chat about what they do or just tell me their job description and what that entails? I would love to hear it.
Hey, April, I can go.
Yeah. All right, Luca.
Yes, Luca. My name is Luca Mosca. I'm a New York-based costume designer, and my profession is just that, designing costumes for actors. And my work starts with a script, breaking down a script, understanding it, and researching the period or non-period, if it is contemporary, the social class of the actors, putting together visual materials, presentations, and once I get the approval of the studio, of the director, of the producers, I can move on and start making the clothes, shopping for the clothes, and then move on to fittings and get ready for camera. And this is really a very abbreviated summary of what goes into making costumes for movies. But this is one of my brands, costume designer. Just like you, I have a few brands, but this is the one I am representing today.
Gotcha. That's great. Excellent. And in the example later in my outline here, I actually use that as an example. I just made up an example from some of my other friends who are costume designers too. And so that's interesting. That's great. And I like how you described that. What you do, you're very methodical about it and you did it in order. And I think the way in which that you describe these things, just like you did in order, is a really helpful thing. And I also, as you were talking, something that I don't know if I mentioned in this outline is that you might want to put a quick little story or two of some of your experiences, of some of your most successful experiences and points that you really feel were iconic for you and helped create, help create your brand, help you, energize your brand, where you're like, yeah, that's what I'm really good at, or this really interesting thing happened and everybody loved it and it was exactly what the scene needed, et cetera, like whatever those points are. Like you can throw in a little story or two and just, be quick about it. But I feel like that those kinds of things engage people because people like to hear a great story. You tell a story with your costumes. You tell a story with the way that, the actor wearing a costume represents something. We see somebody in a movie or theater, that kind of thing, and we all already go, okay, that person, we look at a time period, we look at the type of person, their style, all those things tell a story.
I hear you.
So,
yes. Do you want me to put in a couple of spicy stories?
Yes. Sure, go for it.
because now my video is on also. So I'm sure we all have very juicy stories and very embarrassing stories, very angering stories. But what can I say? Let's talk about my last big job. I designed John Wick 3 in Africa. Well, part in New York, part in Africa, in Morocco. And it was a large team, and I was in the shop, and at some point there was an emergency on set, and a costume was needed on the set. And so when that happens, it is total panic. It's almost as if the president were coming to visit you. So everybody on high alert. And so I speak French as well, and I gave one of the many assistants there a very important costume. And I spoke with her in French, and I said, you put this costume inside the garment bag. And I used the word garment bag because I didn't know how to say it in French. And so I used the word garment bag.
Okay.
And do you understand me? And she said, yes. So you put it inside the garment bag and you take the minivan and you run to set. They are waiting for you. Are you okay? Yes. And did you understand me? Yes. What is a garment bag? And she said, I don't know. I don't understand. So this is one of the many things. I don't know why I made that example, but one of the many little hiccups that can happen when you're under pressure, and everybody is under pressure, and we tend to panic a little bit. Holding camera is a big curse in our line of work. It's something that nobody wants to do.
Right.
And,
yeah. So what that does tell everyone is that you know how to work under pressure, and it's a funny story. You can laugh about it, and it's not like, oh, I can never talk about that's the worst thing that could have ever happened. Like some people panic, but that shows the people just, that's a very big film, and that's everybody I think knows that film, and the fact that you're going to get it done, figure out a way. She didn't know what a garment bag was, but you still made it happen, right?
It somewhat, it made it to set, and I'm still here, and I didn't lose my job. So
well,
that
there
worked
you go.
out. Okay.
Well, good.
That worked out. Okay.
So those are that's great. I love that, Luca. It's great to meet you too. That's excellent. And I love that movie, by the way. Excellent costumes, amazing. You did a great job. I think that's what people want to hear. And, sometimes people want to tell stories for a really long time, and I get that. There are a lot of details to things, but just those little things, make people laugh, make people, oh, wow, that was really cool that you did that. And it's a fun story, but it's also a real life thing. All of us who have done creative things have come up against something that didn't go right, and we had to figure out a way to make it work because we had 30 seconds or 2 minutes to 5 minutes or whatever, and we had to grab whatever we had to go, okay, go make that scene happen. And sometimes those things happen, but that's part of the art and the creative process. So that's going to be an interesting and fun part of what you talk about. Okay. So here's what I want to talk about next is to start, create your why, in quotes. Then we speak from that premise, right? And this is the beginning of making an introduction. But when you write out your why do I do what I do? What was it's almost like, and I should put it in there too, a mission statement. Okay, if I am a costume designer and my mission is to, and you fill that out, and it may be ever changing. Like you might write something and then think, I'm going to change that and make it more like this. But the mission statement is probably mostly for you. You may briefly, refer to it in an interview or when you tell your story, but the why is for you. When you ask yourself why, you become more powerful because you know why. You have your reason, you have your purpose. And I think sometimes we just assume that we have that, but to be reintroduced to our greater purpose helps us weather the difficult times, such as now, to keep going and to believe in ourselves and to push harder. If that makes sense. I know that this whole quarantine thing for me has been something where I've had to reinvent myself and do many things to keep the ball rolling and to even evolve into other things that I do now that I stream online and host my own little show and that kind of thing. So, so the why is very important. So if you guys have a file open where you can type, or you have some paper there, whatever you like to do, if you prefer to write or just put it into your computer, I want you to put a few points, a few bullet points, or write out a couple of sentences as to why. Why do you do what you do? Now, I know that that could be a whole long thing. It could be a whole, you could go on forever, but put some points in there. I do this because, et cetera, you know, you have some points. I'll give you an example of me. I'm a singer and a voice coach. I've been training singers for 15 plus years, and I started doing speaker training about 2-3 years ago. And that's gone very well because I've parlayed that off of my singing, because the singing is not just technical, although I teach that, but it's also storytelling, okay? And so I believe that a great song can happen not just from the technical abilities, but to tell a story, and creatives tell stories. So my why, when I started singing, was when I was a kid, my grandmother encouraged me to sing a solo in church, which I didn't want to do. And I avoided her for about 1.5 years. I was 8, I think. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. I have too much anxiety. I didn't know that what it was called when I was 8, but I have too much anxiety. I can't do that. And 1.5 years later, after she hounded me, I finally did it. And I found the love for it. Like, that's what started the ball rolling for me. And so that set me on my path and my future. I became, you know, all these things, everything leading up to now from that one point. So that's my first why. And then there's other whys, you know, along the road. There's other people that inspired me. There's college, there's making records, there's all kinds of things. So your why can be some bullet points, okay? And again, that motivates you, and that puts you in that positive brain space to say, yeah, this is what I do, and this is why I do it, and this is why the world needs it. And those are some questions you can ask yourself. And it's good to write it down. It's good to have your mission statement in front of you and write it down and look at it when you're having a rough day and say, this is why I do what I do. Okay, so we speak from that premise. So let's start by creating an introduction. Okay, so this is where I'm going to need your guys' help here. Who are you? I have bullet points here, or I have the numbered points here. Say your name. Okay, I know this is like seemingly really elementary, but say your name. April, voice coach. That's me. That's one of the things that I do.
Betsy Potter, costume restorer.
Ooh, Betsy Potter. I like your name, Betsy. Say your name again.
Betsy Potter.
Can you say it like it's the introduction to a TV show?
Here, I'll put myself up because it's easier if I see you and you see me.
Okay.
Let's see, intro. Hi, I'm Betsy Potter.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And what was it that you do? Hi, I'm Betsy Potter.
Hi, I'm Betsy Potter, and I've been restoring old Hollywood costumes.
Excellent. Wow, that's awesome. I've got some. I would love to have you do that. I love that. Okay, so but you hear how that sounds? It's like, hey, everybody, I'm Betsy Potter, and this is what I do. Isn't it exciting? Of course it's exciting, because I just made it exciting for you. Everybody needs me. Okay.
Put some energy in behind it, right?
Exactly, exactly. Okay, I see Gersha Phillips. Gersha, you have a great name, Gersha. Introduce yourself. Tell us your name.
Hi, I'm Gersha Phillips, and I'm a costume designer.
All right. I love your glasses. I love your hair. You look fabulous.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so you have that nice, like, fabulous, you got your glasses on, everything. Okay, so I want you to say your name, how you look. I'm Gersha Phillips, like kind of fabulous, glamorous, whatever.
Okay. I'm Gersha Phillips. I'm a costume designer for film and television.
Awesome. I love it. And I know you guys probably feel like, what is she doing? But there's something to that, right? Something about it just makes us come up a level and say, that's who I am and that's what I do. I want you guys to practice saying your name in the mirror, and I promise you, I'm going to do the same thing. I do it to this day. But then I encourage all of my people that I train to do the same thing. Okay, I need other people to say their name. Luca, you have a great accent.
Thank
Did
you.
you say your? Yeah,
It took me
I
a
love
second to press all the keys and unmute and
it.
start the video. Thank you very much. Let this remain a secret with the group between me, you, and my fellow costume designers. But I can't stand my accent. It is my inferiority complex trigger. And I'm taking voice classes, accent reduction classes, but the accent doesn't want to go. I was born and raised in Italy, in Milan, the fashion capital of the world.
That okay. I think you have a great accent, and I think your voice sounds great. And there is a way to take your accent out. I do it all the time. So if you need help with that, let me know. But I think that it's integral to who you are. It's part of who you are. And so if you do it with confidence, but still have clarity of speech, you can embrace both yourself, your accent, and be clear. Because maybe you don't like it because you just don't feel like it's clear. Maybe it's difficult to roll through English with the Italian approach. And I'm starting to learn Italian and French because I'm a vocal performance major, and I can sing and speak. I can sing in French and Italian. I just don't, know the language. And I fully intend to learn Italian and Spanish. But yeah. So say your name. Say it slowly and comfortably, like you're introducing yourself to the entire world.
Hi, my name is Luca Mosca.
Costume designer, or how would you like to describe what you do?
Of course. Hey, hello. My name is Luca Mosca, and I am a costume designer.
I like that.
Good, thank you.
I think you should say it a few times and then start your little process of talking about yourself, and do that in a mirror. And I'm going to tell everyone to do this. As you look through my outline, you're going to see all the things I'm going to ask you guys to do. Okay, and we'll get to that in a second. But getting in the mirror and saying this and just learning to love you and what you do and who you are and your name. Because I'm going to be honest with you guys, you have great names. Yeah, me too. Gersha Phillips. I love that name. Luca. I love that name. Betsy Potter. It's great. It's who you are. It's unique. And it tells the world something. Okay, a few more people. Introduce yourself. Anyone? People like, no. How about, what if I pick somebody? Will you do it? How about Laura? Laura B. No?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Laura Brody. I'm a costume designer and commercial stylist.
Nice. Okay, awesome. Say it again. And say it like you're cheering at a game, like, yay, we won.
Okay. I'm Laura Brody, and I'm a costume designer and commercial stylist.
I like it. Okay, now add a hi, because here's what I want you to do. I want you to put some rhythm into it. Hi, I'm Laura Brody. Everybody, almost like, and this is another way I describe it. It's like library time, story reading time at the library for kids. Hey kids, I'm April, and today we're going to read about rainbows and unicorns. Are you ready? Okay, I'm not even kidding.
Got it.
It works. So, okay, say your name and what you do.
Okay. Hi, I'm Laura Brody. I'm a costume designer and commercial stylist.
Excellent. And so as you say that and you create some rhythm in what you say, you become more and more comfortable with that. So say that, get in the mirror and try it some different ways. And again, I know this sounds and feels odd, but when you stream live and when you make videos and Like I'm doing this right now. So even though I teach it, I still make myself go out and do it because it makes me better and gives me more motivation to help you guys and more ways of doing it. That's what you need to keep doing. So keep doing it until you really like it. Like, hey, I am actually really cool. Okay.
Thank you. I'm gonna ask you. I'm getting ready to start doing a fashion podcast. So
Excellent. Excellent. Well, there you go. You need to be cheering yourself on for sure. Definitely. Find a good intro and just say it a few times, record it, and see how you like it. How about, I see Darshan. Is that how you say your name? Darshan?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, great. I wasn't aware we were going to be on camera today. I wouldn't have worn a buzzy top to all the costume designers out there.
It's all good. It's Monday. It's Monday.
Yeah. So
okay,
anyways,
so Darshan,
welcome to my closet.
I like it. Costume designer closet. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I like your name. Say your name.
Hi, I'm Darshan Gress. I'm a costume designer and fashion stylist for some of your favorite TV show hosts and judges.
Ooh, excellent. Say that again like you're hosting your own show, and make sure that you really articulate your name so that we know exactly what your name is. I'm Darshan Gress. Hi, I'm Darshan. I may be saying it wrong, so I apologize. Put some rhythmicness to it and some big breath behind it. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, I'm Darshan Gress, fashion stylist and costume designer for some of your favorite TV show hosts and judges.
Excellent. How does it feel?
Fine.
Fine. I want you guys to say it until you really feel it. Okay? And as you build your beliefs, this is something that's building your beliefs. I'm not sure if I wrote that in the outline. I need to add that. I'll add to what I'm doing and add some more things for next time. But you need to build your beliefs in who you are and what you do and take a little inventory of the things that you've worked on and the people that you've worked with. And I want you to highlight some of your top 3 to 5 to 10 best stories and most accomplished things in your business. Things that things that are like high profile are always impressive to people, but things that you love the most, that you take the most pride in, those are the things that people need to hear. Because when you tell the story about the thing that you really love to do, people go, that's so awesome. Good for you. You know, people are endeared to you. All right. And you're endearing to yourself, but also into the world. Okay. Anyone else like to say their name? Nope, we're all listening. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to go on to, and I'm going to probably ask you guys to do this at the end here too, because I think that we probably should say our names a lot. Okay. Okay. Say your name. How you say your name, it means something. How you say it means something. Yes. All right. Where are you from? And I think Luca, you said, where are you from? So I like that. Where are you from? What is your career title? We fit that in there. What is your special emphasis? I think some of us said that. Where did you learn your trade? Who wants to talk about giving me a little bit of intro and where did you learn your trade? Anyone want to try it? Luca, you want to practice?
Absolutely. Let me start the video.
Mm-hmm.
So when I still lived in Italy, after my medical studies, because I was forced by my family to become a pharmacist, after my medical studies, I decided to really follow my true vocation, which was fashion. And so I got my feet wet in a very large couture company at the basically end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s, a company that produced Romeo Gigli, Gucci, Norma Kamali, among others. And there I worked as a product manager and as a fashion designer. And I think that I learned so much about the construction of the garment, about fabrics, and about all the skills, pattern making, draping, all the skills that I eventually was able to carry over into my costume design profession. So yes, that was the
Excellent.
beginning, really driven by a lot of passion without too much experience. And
Mhm.
that's how I learned.
That's excellent. So while that's fresh in your mind, I would jot down some of those things or just write out a paragraph or something. And you're going to take that and try to make it a little bit more concise. But first, before we try to make things concise, write the whole thing. Because again, the brain dump is always the best way to do it. The brain dump, as people call it. Put all of the facts out on paper. And then we'll go through and we'll manage that and we'll make adjustments to it. What about you, Laura B?
Oh, how did I get my start?
Yes.
Or how did I get my training? This is actually a pretty cute story. I started at Reed College as a French literature major, and I was not doing great. And I wanted to read some more content in French that was not related to poetry, literature. So I would read French Vogue, Paris Match, and like a couple other French fashion magazines. And it's typical to take a year off between sophomore, junior year at Reed. And I realized I loved fashion more than I loved the language. And I transferred down to FIDM, that's the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in San Francisco, and got a degree in fashion design.
Wow.
And I
Very cool.
Yeah, I worked in fashion design for a few years. I had my own company. It was women's ready to wear, and I did women's and men's custom made as well. And eventually I got tired of that and I wanted to work in film. I thought that would be a little more creative and more interesting. Moved down to Los Angeles and made it happen.
Excellent. Good for you. That's really great. So if you haven't already, maybe you're somebody that's already written those things out. I would even write that whole statement out or just strong bullet points and start making that part of where you came from. Where did you learn your trade? What is your inspiration? Okay, so that would be the next thing. Anybody else? Where did you learn your trade? Anybody else want to describe? Okay, so where did you learn your trade? That's number 4. Number 5, what was and is, meaning what was in the past and what currently is your inspiration that led you to this profession that you're in, and what keeps you going? You may have described it just a little bit. Would anyone else like to try it? Anyone that hasn't spoken yet?
I can go. Can you hear me?
Gersha, would you like to try it?
Oh, I think Barbara
Yeah.
volunteered, April.
Oh, she did?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah. Can you hear me?
Frozen. I can hear Barbara, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go for it, Barbara.
Okay. Hi, I'm Barbara. I'm a costume illustrator. I got to my career. I was always inspired by the costumes I would see on film and had a passion for fashion design as well. And I always wanted to learn how to make my own clothes. So I studied fashion design and fell in love with that, started it, and started a career for 10 years as a fashion designer. But then I realized that I never pursued that original passion, which was costume design. So I took a break. I traveled the world for a year and tried living and experiencing other cultures, and came back and realized it was actually the perfect chance to pursue my passion for costume. But I always loved illustration, loved to draw, loved to capture characters. And so I felt that was the perfect way to kind of mesh both worlds. And yeah, that's how I'm where I'm at now.
Excellent. So you traveled the world. That's great.
Yeah, it was amazing.
That is amazing. And so, and the thing that's great about traveling the world is that now you've got so so much more, you know, we really enrich our lives when we go to see how other people live, how they dress, how they live their life, how they eat, how they have fun, what do they do. Like everyone has a different take on it. So it just makes your journey that much more enriched when you, and you said you are a design illustrator?
Yeah, so I'm a costume illustrator now, but I have a background in fashion design. So I learned everything about clothing construction, draping, pattern making, but I'm focusing mostly on illustration now.
Excellent. That's great. We'll make sure that you write all that down.
Yeah,
And put all that in there. Yes, and any of your special stories from the countries that you went to in your travels, like any of that will be any, you know, and again, we'll make it concise, but just tell the story, tell the whole thing, and then, you know, you can pare it down to whatever it needs to be, but just start with as much of it as possible. That's great. Gersha, do you want to give it a try?
Sure.
Okay.
So my name is Gersha Phillips. I'm a costume designer. I was born in London, England, and grew up in Canada, mostly Saskatchewan, and then into Toronto. I started as a fashion designer. Actually, I was in love with fashion, everything to do with fashion. I think at the time my muse was Karl Lagerfeld, and also I had to say. Sorry, oh my God, I can't remember his name. Sorry, that's bad.
Okay.
Anyway, but loved fashion. And so I started doing my own line. I studied fashion in Saskatchewan as far as I could go. And then I moved to Toronto, and the idea was to continue fashion. And I ended up going to a movie. The movie was Beaches, and it really had nothing to do with the actual film, but the title card came up and it said costume designer, and it was like that light bulb moment, you know, that Oprah talks about, and it was like, this is what I want to do. And from that moment on, I, you know, looked into figuring out how to get into costume design, you know, volunteered at the Canadian Film Center, started working on projects, joined the unions, and as the rest they say is history, here I am today.
Excellent. So you really went after it, and you volunteered your time, and you went everywhere you could go to learn and connect with that industry. And that's, I mean, those are admirable things of note when you are communicating with people and you're telling your story and you're going for job interviews and all of that. Like, that's exciting. It's interesting. And I know sometimes, and I want to make a point of this to tell all the artists, that sometimes we don't put enough behind our own experiences because we think, well, there's other artists out there, and there's other costume designers, there's other, you know, all the different things that you do. There's other people out there that do it. You know, my story is not so special because, you know, other people have done it. But the truth is, your story is special. Your story is very special because everybody has, even if you've gone to the same country, even if you worked on the same movie and if you've done different things, everyone has their own experience. Our experiences are all unique to us, and they mean something different to us, and they spur on more art. So what one person, as you guys all know, will see in a picture or in a costume or whatever, someone else sees something completely different, and that's how art is created, right? So we all see things different. So even if it's something that you think that is not that important or not that interesting, to the rest of the world who is looking at you from out here, they think it's very interesting. And I know that I felt like that too about my brand and my art at different times. And as I describe certain things to people, people are like, wow, that's really interesting. And I'm like, it is? Really? Okay. That's me every day. I don't see why that's so interesting, because they're not in my industry. You know, I describe what I do to people who are lawyers or doctors or in the financial business, in the world of finance, or the restaurant business. I don't know, it could be so many different things that people call artists for, not just those that are directly in our industry. So it's really good to kind of put your flag in it, as they say, and say, this happened and that happened, and this is really integral to my journey, and this meant something, and this is how hard I work to go after what I want and what I believe in. So those stories are really important. Okay, so your inspirations from the past and present that keep you going. So as you write these things down, continue to write as many down as you think. Just make a list of all the things. This happened and that happened and that happened. Because all of those things have brought you here, and all of those things motivate you and keep you going to the next thing. Who and what are you inspired by? Okay, so this may seem very similar, but what inspires you for your work? There are probably many things, but what are some of the bigger, more poignant things you can point to and say, that really inspires me, or that moment, or something? You want to start, Gersha?
I was.
There you are. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of inspiration, I feel like it comes from so many different places. I love art. I love to travel as well. I think that's really probably my biggest love. And also watching films and other people's work, obviously. And also, for me, I got a lot of information from the fashion industry as well. I love going to fashion shows. I've been to a couple of really great ones in the last couple of years in Europe. And, you know, I feel like that all nourishes what I do, and it you know, it's what helps, you know, sort of feed the soul. So it's really important to me that I'm always doing those sorts of things that just keep me going. I don't know if that answers your question directly.
Yes, absolutely. And think about, absolutely, and write all those things down, and then write about, if you would, and this is for everyone, write about the points in those, write about specific fashion shows or things you saw in the magazine or your travels. Like, sometimes it's the littlest, what may be seemingly insignificant, but really is very significant. These moments, these things that inspire you, you know, that have maybe a moment of, you saw somebody from behind and you saw they looked to the left and they had this silhouette and there was a hat and a coat and something, and that made you go, oh, and it gave you a picture, right, of something. Or I'm in a plane. I remember being in the plane and just landing in LAX over the ocean, looking down, and I was like, I have an idea for a song, and I've flown over that many times, but at that moment, and the way the sun was, and, you know, colors, who knows, time of day, I don't know, but I had that moment, so I wrote that down. So those moments are what create the uniqueness and the stories that you tell. So yes, so really dig into it.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? What inspires you currently? Okay, so you guys, that's your homework, is to write some of those points down. And let's go to number 7. What are your goals for your art? What are your goals for your art? What would you like to achieve in the future? So that's something like, I'll just have you guys write down and make some points there, and think about what it is that you want. Because as you talk about the things that have happened in the past, as you learn make your introduction and say your name and do all these things, like all of that helps create momentum for where you want to go and what you want to do. So I'll let you guys work on that. Okay, so start to fill out as much of that information as you can on all these points. And then from there, we will take the points and turn them into your commercial / I probably should have put infomercial. Your infomercial about you. You are your own thing. You are your own zip code. You are your own show. We'll just look at it like that. Okay, so say, for example, you are doing an interview for a job, or you're doing a podcast, or you're doing something where someone's interviewing you for all of the things that you've done. And what I tried to do is think of some of the most commonly asked questions, things that you would be asked in an interview or in any situation. And so that's the first question, is what are some of the most commonly asked questions you are asked from those in your industry? And I should also say outside of your industry too, because people that aren't in your industry that may be hiring you for things want to know just exactly how you fit in the picture. So you may have to get more basic about it and just talk a little bit, more 101, if that makes sense, on your job and what you do. Because in your industry, people will understand keywords, and then not in your industry, if I'm talking to somebody that's a financial person or a lawyer or a doctor or somebody who owns a restaurant, they may not quite get what that is. So just knowing, what you might be asked and who you might be asked, who might be asking that. What would be the main points you might be asked about in an interview? Okay, we said that. What do you like most about your industry? So I think that people want to find out more about us and what we like in our industry and our favorites and our not so favorites tells a little bit more about who we are. So think about what you like the most about your industry. Maybe it's the people, maybe it's a certain type of job. Does anybody have a favorite thing that they could talk about for a second? Anyone?
I would like to
Okay.
go. I think this is very meaningful for me. What I really, really love about my industry is the people I work with and my small micro community in my own department. The pressure and the workload is immense, but we get on a good movie, on a lucky one, we get to create a symbiotic, wonderful relationship with one another, and that's very invaluable to me. I also love the idea of working with the most talented people in the country, across the board, from other departments, from art, from props, what have you. There are the most incredible people. And I also get to meet and work with really special directors and actors. So it's a very stimulating profession with lots of privileges that I don't take for granted. And it's just beautiful to be among these amazing, talented people. Yeah. It's a constant inspiration.
That's wonderful. It's wonderful to have a job that's a constant inspiration. So that's great. You should write all that down. And it must feel incredible to see actors wearing your creations and telling their story, and then you finally see it in the movie and go, that's exactly what it should be, and everyone knows it and this looks amazing, and there's got to be a sense of accomplishment and being proud and giving yourself another tool in your toolbox to create even more and spur from that. And I'm sure you'll look at things too and say, yes, that looks great, and next time I probably am going to do this, this, and this, and this, right? You have your favorite things, and then that spurs on the next round of whatever it's going to be. So anyone else?
Hi, I'd like to address it.
All right, Betsy.
Okay. I came to what I'm doing as a costume designer. I worked in theater, I worked in television, I worked as an assistant costume designer, a supervisor. I've made costumes, it's all there. But my first love was history. And when I read history and historical novels, I saw them always dressed. And as I worked, I kept studying period costumes, and I had the opportunity in the early days to go into museums and touch period costumes, which you cannot do usually now. But as a costume designer, and the more I learn, I have gotten to touch real period clothes. I've collected them. I turn them inside out. So one of the jobs I've done in the last few years is help pull on period costumes, pull the costumes, because my knowledge and my awareness, anytime you do a period film, you get to know exactly those years, exactly what lines make that costume for men or women say to the public before they hear the person speak. Where are we in the world? What time of year? What country are we in? What year? Exactly. All those things. And I would love to, what I'm hoping is both to preserve costumes for other people to see, and also perhaps teach this, pass it on.
That's excellent. You're hired. I love that. That's a selling point right there. You love it, and you're deeply inspired by it, and the pursuit of that to make it so great. And you're right. And I mentioned this earlier too, is you step out on the stage, you don't have to say a word, but your costume tells the story. It tells the time period. It tells what's going on. It tells male or female. It tells time of day even. It tells all kinds of things without a word. So that's, and touching them from different periods. That's awesome. That's amazing. I like that. I'll be interested to hear yours, Betsy. Anyone else? This is great. You guys are amazing. I just want to tell you that you guys do incredible things. And I've seen probably some of the movies that you've, and TV shows or even theater productions. You guys are amazing, really, truly. Anyone else? Okay, that's some things to think about and to start writing down. All right, so, okay, the next question is, what do you think needs to improve or be changed in your industry? Now, I know you have to be careful with this because you don't want to have a negative slant like this shouldn't happen or that shouldn't happen, but improvement. Show the world what's going to be next. What's the next innovation? What's the next iteration of what you make?
I'll go. This is Ivy.
Hi, Ivy.
I think it's really important to continue Costume Designers Guild and its members being a positive brand and constantly promoting their work so that their work is also shown as part of either the movie or television. It's not just about the actors sometimes, it's also about the creativity that the designer has made in front of that tiny little screen. Because a lot of people cosplay our outfits, they do all different kinds of stuff. They're on displays, and we're constantly trying to remember to credit the costume designer.
That's good. Yeah. I think that and people look at things and they do not know what it takes to make that. I have friends that are filmmakers and independent and first-time filmmakers, and I'm just sitting there watching them go through the pain of just, I can't even believe how much it takes to just make one 3-minute scene, like the months and weeks, even years. It's crazy. And I know that making these costumes, and yes, giving people credit, they need credit because, well, they created it, but sometimes the whole time period of just how long did it take to make that and how many iterations did you go through and the improvement. So the knowledge and awareness of who made it is very important. So there should definitely be more emphasis. I agree with that. I see what you're saying. That's excellent. Anyone else? Anything else that needs to be improved in your industry?
April, I think that our carbon footprint is pretty tragic. We can work on that. We do not recycle as much as we should, and that's a big one. Also, our work style and rhythms are pretty unhealthy. We work too much. The hours are too long. A 12-hour, 12-and-a-half-hour day is a short day, but my team that stays on set sometimes goes for 15, 17, 18 hours, and that cannot be healthy. So it would be great to go back at the times when work hours were reduced, more limited. When you go work in other countries, like when you go to Europe, for example, that is a reality. Beautiful movies are made there, and the hours are a little more manageable. So these are the two big things that come to mind within our world of privilege and enthusiasm and beautiful profession. Those are two glitches.
Those are very important. That's excellent. Yes, and I've been on some of those shoots too, and I know the long hours. Some people have been 20 hours, sometimes a full day.
Yeah.
You can't ask people to stay awake for 24 hours on every job. That's insane. But it does happen. I've heard of that. That's great.
It's dangerous to drive home and to be on the road, to be at the wheel. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Good point. Anyone else?
I'd like to say something.
Hi, Carrie. Is it
Hi.
Carrie?
I am a costume designer, Carrie Perkins from Austin, Texas. With the industry, I feel like a lot of producers don't really understand what it is that we do. They have never had experience. They don't see behind the scenes. They just see these amazing costumes come out, and they don't really understand what it takes. Sometimes directors also. So I feel like some understanding in the industry would be really helpful. You know, perhaps if there could be a shadowing, like the producers could see what happens in the camera department behind the scenes for a day, or in the costume department, or because we're just in there constantly trying to prepare for the next day or the next scene. We have to be 3 or 4 weeks, you know, or days ahead of schedule, just to make sure we have the costumes lined up and everything moving smoothly. So we don't have to wait for camera. We have to make sure everything fits and it's all painted, you know.
Absolutely.
So
That's
I
great.
feel like, yeah, there could be some kind of like producer shadowing, so they could really understand that when we say, no, you know, we are working too many hours and this is why, you know, they
Yeah.
think we're just hanging out in the trailer smoking cigarettes or something. Like,
Some people are, but not you guys. And I
right?
know that. I've seen it. I've seen the sets. No, you guys work insane, superhuman hours, and often without enough food or water or whatever, because you just don't even have time to take a drink. You're just doing one thing and the next thing. But yes, exactly. That's a very good point. And maybe think of a way, you know, because this is kind of a passion, maybe even a passion project where you know, this would be something that would be helpful to not just you, but everyone on set, and the directors and people that you work with. So maybe come up with some ways of how that could work, you know, and that's what you'd like to see, and figure out a way to communicate that, you know, in further, you know, conversations and, you know, interviews, or there's different ways to say things that I think people would, you know, be receptive to those types of things.
Well, I'm hoping
Anyone else?
that once we restart after COVID, that, or I guess still in COVID, that they will slow down. Everything will slow down. I know there's a big concern of people being ill and trying to keep everybody healthy. So maybe the industry will change somewhat because of the virus, you know, and that's really an interesting thought.
Yeah, maybe less people on set. That's what I'm hearing from my movie making and photography friends. So less people on set, which would mean, you know, people would see what each other's doing a little easier than maybe more people or hours or whatever. But yeah, definitely. Excellent. Thank you, Carrie. Anyone else?
Yeah.
All right. Those are fantastic ideas. My goodness, you guys are great. Okay, so those are all some things to think about. Let's get to the main point. So what I want to have you guys do is take everything that you've written down so far and then think about some more things during the week, and fill out as much information as you can. Just make yourself a little document and just go through it and write everything out. And it's not too much, just say it. Let it kind of simmer, as they say, and come back the next day and read it, or a couple days, and just start going through and maybe being more concise a little bit here and there. Don't cut too much out just yet, but keep all the basics there. And so the basics that we're going to go for to create your information, to create your commercial: your name, your career title, where did you learn your trade, where are you from, maybe invert those two, I'm thinking. Who and what is your inspiration, what's your specialty, and what are your future goals? And I think we need to add what you see improving in your industry in the future, in your particular industry. I think that should probably be added there. And let me just put that in my document. Okay. I think you guys kind of did it. I have an example here, and you see my example. I just made this up, and I think you guys have a handle on that. That's like a little, if you have to be concise and just say something really quickly and hit a couple of points because like you've got 30 seconds or less to talk, you want to have something that describes yourself, boom, 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 just kind of like that. And then give yourself something where you can talk for a minute, where you can have a little bit longer. And then if you have a good, 5 or 10 minutes to describe who you are and what you do, it's like there's going to be iterations of your little introduction, if that makes sense, and who you are. try to write out a few things in different ways to say it. I was just saying that, do a real brain dump of everything, and then scale back a little bit and be more concise. So what we would do on the next time that we meet is I would listen to everything that everyone's written down, and I'll give you my suggestions and tell you what I think and how to improve things, and have you read the portion, whatever portion you feel like is ready. And then here's something towards the end, and this is for future here. When you have the basics down, it's time to read it out loud. Read it out loud to yourself. Things you have written make better sense when read aloud. You will immediately start hearing the points that need to be adjusted. And this whole entire training is about making adjustments, about the way that we talk and the way that we communicate. So some things may feel weird saying, and you probably, those of you that said your name, you're like, I'm saying my name, what? This is weird. It's important, and it's who you are, it's your brand. And so it's important that you get more and more comfortable with that. But keep practicing it until you find a nice groove and a way to say it. And I'm going to teach you some things to do in terms of like breathing in rhythm when you talk, enunciation, the inflection of the voice going up, like I'm really excited, and this is really meaningful to me, the intense moments, okay? It's kind of like your own little movie, own little story there. You're going to record yourself on video when you're ready. Okay, seeing yourself talk on video, I realize, ouch, I know. I hear the groans, I feel it. But remember, that's how people see you. And excuse me, even if you're on a Zoom call and you're not being seen, or you're on a podcast and you're not being seen, you still, the meaning behind how you say something, how you feel something, and how you look in the mirror and say, this is what I look like when I say it, is likely the feeling and the communication that's coming across. So it's like voice actors. There's a lot of voiceover work. You look at some of the reels of people, some actors doing voiceovers in studios, they're like really feeling that feeling in the moment when they're talking, and they're talking like this and they're talking like that, and they're making the face and they're doing the whole thing because they're connecting to that emotion to bring life to that character. Okay, and that's what you're going to do when you talk about what you do. It's going to seem like you're going to be talking like it's way too big of a deal. Yes, it is. It's a big deal. Okay. So that's a whole lot to do. Does anyone have any questions so far? No questions? Everyone's good? All right, you guys. So that's it for today. And I hope we can meet again and have some things ready to speak and talk about. Write some things down, and we'll go through and see how we're doing. And I'll add some more points and that and such. Hey, Luca.
Hey, April.
Yes.
One quick question. Do you have like a quick tip for stage fright? It's easy now to be talking on Zoom. You can kind of forget that there are so many people listening, and it's only like a dozen people. But
Sure.
What do you do when stage fright becomes paralyzing?
Yes, so stage fright is a real thing, and I'll tell you what I've struggled with that in the past too, and I solved it by streaming live with no script and just some bullet points. The way to overcome stage fright, like I tell my singers, is to do it a lot, and that's why the camera and talking into the camera is so important. You be your own audience first. Be your own audience. Get in that camera and watch yourself. And I call this hashtag. I've got lots of hashtags for my singers and speakers. Get real, because that's what you look like and that's what you sound like to the world. Now, once you understand what you sound like, what you look like, and how you're communicating, you can make peace with it, and then you can control it, make it what you want it to be. But we just assume that in our own heads, because we're all in our head a little bit as creatives, let's just face it, myself included. And so my journey has been to not only get out of my head and do many, many things, but also to take as many particularly creatives and artists with me, because you guys are the innovators and the creators and the storytellers of the world. And you guys are what inspire the world to think differently, right? And so you want to own that and feel confident about that. but you just kind of got to let it in and just relax. Okay, let yourself be on the video, use your technology at home and practice. And you can send me a couple of them if you would like, and I'll tell you what I think. You could just send it to me, or message it to me, whatever, and I'll give you some comments. But you just have to do it and see it and make peace with yourself.
How do we get in touch with you, April?
You can, let's see, email me at aprildiamondmusic@gmail.com. Actually, I have a couple emails. April Voice Coach at Let the Voice Out. Both of those work. Probably April Voice Coach at Let the Voice Out. My assistant will be like, why are my speaker training coming to the thing? Yeah, so that would probably be the best one. And then you can also message me on my website at letthevoiceout.com. Send me an email there, and we'll connect. And I will, if we need to do some more communication, I can also, I'll text you. Send me the first communication, and then I'll text you back with some more comments.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. My pleasure. Any other questions?
I actually have a quick question, April.
Yes.
It might be slightly similar to Luca's question, but do you have any tips or advice for learning how to slow down when talking? I notice sometimes when I'm explaining, suddenly I realize I'm talking like 100 miles an hour.
Yes. Yes, and that's part of my speaker training as well, and we'll talk about that next time. As you guys write out your little scripts and your ideas and your thoughts. Slowing down is about breathing in rhythm, speaking in rhythm, taking breaths, landing on points, which I call words of emphasis. Words of emphasis, breathing in rhythm, taking the time to stop, have a little moment, and then continue. We go fast because it's all in the front of our brain to say right now. I want to get it all out right now before I forget, because I'm going to forget. But I'm also going to teach you how to be methodical about the information, right? And you can eke out the information little by little, and you tell your brain, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we do this kind of consciously, subconsciously. And when those other thoughts come up here, and you're, this thought from the bottom really is trying to come up here, but you're only on point number 2, and that's point number 7, you're going to say, okay, yes, I want to talk about that, but we'll get right back to that. And you're organizing your mind. And if you notice some of the ways I talk today, I'll say, yes, that's later on in my outline, where I talk about these things. So we'll get back to that in just a moment. So I'm saying that for you, but I'm also saying that for me, because I'm teaching my brain to be methodical. As creatives, our brains are like, ideas are coming like, whoa. And so we have to go, let me grab that idea and put that there, and that one there, and that one there. And it's just like a series. Like I have tons of lists. I've got Google Docs. I've got where I make lists and lists, because I'm learning to teach my brain to be methodical. And so that will be part of what we learn on, or that we work on next time.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet. And so in the interim time, just say a phrase and take a break.
Right.
And say another phrase and take a break. And then another one. And then another one. Yeah. And don't feel pushed. Be in the moment.
That's great advice. Thank you so much.
You bet. And everyone, please feel free to message me at my website at letthevoiceout.com. It's letthevoiceout.com. Just send me an email there and I'll respond. You can also email me at aprilvoicecoach@letthevoiceout.com, and you can even email me at aprildiamondmusic@gmail. It all works. Yes, and you can find me on Instagram too at letthevoiceout and all that other stuff. So I can put you on my email list too if you guys want to find out more. You guys are great, and your art's amazing. And some of it, Luca, you talked about the things you've done. I have admiration, nothing but high respect for all of the things that you do, because you guys are the hard workers behind the scenes that make the beauty of movies and fashion shows and the world of art. You guys make it amazing. So thank you for all your hard work.